Hi everyone. I thought I'd take a few minutes today just to sit and talk with you a little bit about why you would do yoga. A lot of people say to me, Sandra, I'm too old for yoga, or I'm not flexible enough for yoga. The truth is that everyone can do yoga. It's just a matter of starting where you are and taking it from there. If you want to look at it like this, if you're too inflexible for yoga, by doing yoga, you will become more flexible. It's just a matter of time. The more you do yoga, the quicker it will happen. If you're doing yoga maybe once a week, it will take a little while, but it'll happen. If you're doing it 2 or 3 times a week, it'll speed up the process. So never be discouraged. And everybody is different. One person may be able to become more flexible in one area than another, and the same is vice versa for another person. It doesn't matter. It's really about getting your body moving. If you think you're too old for yoga, let me tell you a little bit about me. I started yoga just before my 58th birthday. I had this problem where if I got down on the floor, I couldn't get back up again, at least not without the assistance of somebody or a chair or something to help me to get some leverage to lift my body up. Mind you, I was a little bit overweight, and that was another problem. But the real problem was my joints were stiff. I thought I had arthritis in my hips and my knees, and my shoulders ached and my back ached, and I was just not in good shape at all. And a friend of mine very persistently kept telling me to do yoga. I kept saying, no, yoga's not exercise. Maybe I'll go to the gym and I'll work out and that will help. But finally, just to make her shut up, I went to a yoga class. Well, I'd like to tell you that the very first yoga class, everything changed, but it didn't. But what I found was yoga was, although a little bit hard for me to do, it did feel a little bit like exercise. And after a couple of classes, I started to notice something. My body moved freer. It was a very subtle thing at first, but then slowly, and the more and more I went to yoga, the easier and easier my body moved. Another thing that happened was all those things, arthritic things that I thought I was developing, gone. After about 4 months of doing yoga 3 times minimum a week, I had less body pain. My body was moving, my body was able to stretch and bend comfortably, and it was amazing the difference I felt just in 4 months. Now, 7 years later, I'm 65 years old. I can tell you that my body does not feel 65. I know a lot of 65-year-olds that should be doing yoga, and they were where I was and worse 7 years ago. So if you think you're not flexible enough for yoga, or you think you're too old for yoga, don't worry, just start. And these are the perfect way to start. At home, where you're not worried about where anybody else is saying, what anybody else thinks, because let's face it, ladies, we worry about that kind of stuff. And it's really silly to think about that because everybody else is in the same place that you are. Everybody else in the room is worried about how they're performing and what they're doing and thinking everybody else is looking at them, but they're not. Another thing I want to talk to you about is that some people think that they're too fat for yoga. Well, that's not true either. I know quite a few yoga instructors that are on the Zeftig side, and you know what I'm talking about. And yet their body moves with as much ease, and they can do all kinds of stuff I can't even do, and yet they're carrying a little bit more weight than the average person would be carrying. So don't think about that. Think about instead that yoga will help you to get your body moving so at least you'll feel more comfortable. Another thing you want to think about is when I'm doing yoga, what happens to my body? Well, actually, what happens is you're stretching your tendons, you're stretching your muscles out, and by doing that, you're moving the joints, you're getting something happening in those joints that probably hasn't happened for a while, and that's fluid. Fluid is coming into the joints, and the fluid is what helps us to move more easily. A lot of times, arthritis is caused by a lack lack of fluid in the joint, about the meniscus drying up. And that is never a good thing. When that happens and the meniscus starts to dry up and becomes unmovable, a lot of times you'll have to have surgery for that. But before you start thinking about that, try yoga and see if you can get those fluids back in there. It might not be too late yet, and see what happens. So you don't have to be young, and you don't have to be thin, and you don't have to be flexible to do yoga. But just start at the place where your body feels the most comfortable. And my classes are going to be mostly gentle yoga classes that are geared toward the senior body, getting it moving, getting the joints going, and to help you to get to a place where you can bend and stretch and dance the night away. So if you have any questions about any of that, just feel free to send me a message and I'll be happy to help you out and give you some advice. But please, don't wait. Start now. Bye.